Well, today I have something a bit different. It's actually more mechanical and electrical than electronic, but it's a old copal film projector. This was made for like the home market for Super 8 film that you could buy the little camera yourself and get it processed and play it. So this is my dad's old one. Hasn't been used in a long time, but there are still some films with this. They were originally transferred by someone onto VHS tape, but I'm not really sure where that tape is anymore. None of them are labelled anyway, and I wouldn't mind actually trying to do a high-res copy, so get this onto a screen and then use the digital camera to try and get a good image. If I can sort of set that up, probably have to sit the camera right near the projector somewhere so it doesn't block the light going to the screen. But I've borrowed a screen. It was one I actually got from somewhere and gave to the local hall. And because the original screen for this long gone, I don't know where that went. I don't know when this was last used, and I was hoping it was just a lamp in it. When I open this up, it's got one of these like, is it MR16 or whatever they are, type globes. Just a standard like a downlight, but it's 12 volt 100 watt, so it's a bit more powerful than the 50 watt ones you have in your sort of home lights. That just comes out. But what I've done with this, originally I repaired this quite a few years ago. There's actually a receipt in the box from around 1991 when we got a new socket for these lamps, because these lamps run super hot, especially 100 watt ones, and tend to cook the lamp sockets and the pins on the lamp and all that sort of thing. But when this failed, what I did, it was hard to get one at the time, I think, or too much hassle or something. So what I did is I saved this original glass reflector and I basically chipped out, there's just like a sort of ceramic cement stuff in there, pulled out the original little light globe element, and I'd replaced it with one out of a car headlight. So I think that was just a bi-pin sort of lamp. So that gave me the idea, because I just really want to get this thing going, transfer a few films and then get rid of it. I don't want to spend like I think it's $30 odd for a lamp for a starter. So I used this Bosch halogen globe, which I had lying around, 12 volt 100 watt, and this basically came with a metal base on it. So it originally had like a round metal base that holds it in the car headlight fitting. But what I did is I got a pair of side cutters and cut in each side of that and then bent it backwards and forwards until metal fatigue snapped it off. Got rid of that ring part, and then I could actually find I could just shove the connector down through the hole where I chipped out my replacement globe. And the metal piece, actually, you can bend a couple of tabs there once it's pushed through, or they're around the other side here. You have to flatten them to get it through, and then you can bend them back out. Pretty well holds itself in there pretty well. So I thought I'll do that, and that is running. But of course, that wasn't the only problem. But I originally, at some stage, I've changed the wiring here. I had a little joiner there. Both the pins, for some reason, this globe, both the pins had corroded off. So this has been in storage in an outbuilding and probably not the best conditions. So I've used that little terminal. That's basically the guts out of one of those little plastic chocky block terminal block things there, which was still in there. That was originally onto one of the pins of a bi-pin lamp. So I've just hooked that to the wire going into this lamp, and this metal piece is the earth. So I've just got a clip lead there at the moment, which is just purely to mechanically hold this wire on, and it's about to fall off again. So it's just to clamp it on basically, and it was running okay. And that's when I realised we don't actually have any motor action here. Well, the motor is running, but it's not turning anything. I better put that little screw back in that stops the lamp from popping out. Probably won't matter at the moment, but might as well have it in there. It's probably only like it for a transport situation. But yeah, unfortunately this has also got a belt gone, which is another $30 odd to get from America by the look of it. So that's the original cover off the thing. Still in its original box and everything. So this would have gone back to the 70s or something. This would have been purchased, I think. Certainly the movies that we have go back to the 70s and I think early 80s maybe. But yeah, I noticed I didn't have the other colour off. I noticed there's something here with all this sort of weird white sort of corrosion-y stuff on it, or growth or something. Maybe it's a fungus or something, who knows. And of course when I took the back off the other side of it, we've got a motor here with this fan on the end and a pulley on the other end, and then we've got this shaft, and it's got this horrible broken up, almost does look like a fungus or something growing on there, but rubber belt that should go across to that other pulley, and it's just like this sort of white coated gooey rubber that, yuck. just disgusting. At least it hasn't gone to complete goo, so it does seem to fall off, or those bits are mostly in the bottom anyway, I think, but you can peel it out of there, so I'll have to clean that off. So what I'm thinking is I'm just going to pull a bit of a dodgy here and use like an audio belt, or maybe a few of them if I have to, and just find something that stretches across there and has enough sort of strength, I guess, to run the mechanism here, which actually runs the reel-to-reel section for the film. So it's basically like a reel-to-reel player in a way. You've got a reel here. I think you put your film on this one, and that one should really be on the other one. I'll just put it on there to store it. That's your like a blank reel, much like an audio reel-to-reel. You have a empty blank, and when you play the thing, you put your film on here, lock it in, and then it looks like this mechanism here. You actually feed the film in and it sucks it down, goes through here, basically between the lamp and the lens. Obviously it's got to go in. There's some other little shutter things here, and then it looks like it comes down this path round here, up, and I think you've got to start it on this. I think you just feed it through, and then you find, I forget how you even lock it into this thing. I thought there was a little slot you poked it in. Maybe you just start it on here until it wraps around itself, but that's basically how it works. It sucks it onto this reel as it plays, and when you're finished, I think you put the film back over this little roller straight back to the other one, and there's a switch position here for rewind somewhere, forward and reverse I think it is. Yeah, reverse, off and forward. Got a speed adjuster. I think that's to stop the film flickering, just to get the frame rate about the same as the original. We've got super and regular. I think that changes the shutter. I'm not sure what the frame switch does. Then motion, slow, normal and still. So you can actually pause it, slow it, or run it at normal speed. So it's got a few little features in there, and just got to focus on the lens there, just the usual screws the lens in and out kind of thing. So quite a simple little machine. And we used to enjoy setting this thing up and watching it when we were really young kids. But like I say, I don't know when this was last run. Obviously we got a new socket for it in the early 90s. I get a feeling this was the late 90s. I patched up another globe, but it actually, for some reason, along with the belt, the pins of the lamp, it actually corroded right off. So maybe it was a bit damper than I thought, the storage, but didn't think it was that bad. The rest of it looks fine, so not sure what happened there. But these lamps are terrible. They just run so hot, and they fail all the time, especially a 100 watt one. A lot of other projectors use different styles of lamp, which is probably a better idea than this one. But yeah, it's interesting. This is made by Copal, which is the company that made a lot of the mechanisms for the flip clocks. So Copal Co Limited, Shimura, Itabashi-ku, I don't know, Tokyo, Japan. Also in America and Europe. Printed in Japan. I don't think there's anything that says anything about the date of it. Specifications: Super 8, Single 8 and Regular 8. Lens Super Zoom f1.4, 15 to 25mm. Film loading, fully automatic, so it should load itself mostly, but I think you've got to attach it to that reel or get it going or something. Your lamp, 12 volt, 100 watts. Reverse projection available. Slow motion, 6 frames per second. Still projection available. Projection speed 14 to 22 frames a second. Reel 400 foot, so you can fit a pretty big film on there. Dimensions and weighs 5.5 kilos. But it would be nice to get something going so I can check all those films and transfer them across. And yeah, there's a couple of these on eBay, the complete units, but people want $200 to $400 or something silly for them, which I can't imagine they're worth anything like that. I guess they hope someone's desperate enough to need one that they're willing to pay silly money, but you can buy a little machine, I think, to transfer the film to video anyway for a lot less than that, or around that sort of price maybe, which I think would be a much better investment, because at least you could sell that again, whereas this, I don't know that anyone's really going to want one of these unless, you're only going to have a few films you want to transfer, so it'd be cheaper to take it to someone and get them to do it probably, because there are people that do it, and we did actually get it done at one stage. But like I say, it was only on the VHS tape, so it's not going to be very good quality anyway, even if I can find it. And it may be there somewhere. There's quite a few VHS tapes, and I haven't had time to go through them. And like I say, the film's much better quality than VHS. So it'd be nice to get it into a modern 1080p or something digital format. and just recover them. I don't think there's anything particularly exciting there, but it would be nice to save those old films, because really it's getting to the point now where I'd like to just get rid of this machine and the old films and everything, and just time to get rid of them completely, I think. I've still got a few old film slides as well, but they've been transferred to computer. And I think the old slide protector is still kicking around somewhere. That's probably got similar issues, though I don't think there's any belts in that, but likely the lamp could be iffy in that. But yeah, we're talking pretty obsolete technology here, but again, built in Japan and that, they're very well made. Do tend to keep going forever. Some of this old grease is looking like it's starting to dry up, but it's not too bad. So it looks like, yeah, at some stage I've put a marking on there of which two terminals are for the lamp, and I've resoldered new wires, so it's quite likely the old wires got cooked. Thing is, now I've got hundreds of those. You can get them, all the ceiling lamps, halogen ceiling lamps use those little ceramic 2-pin connectors with the like the fiberglass coated wires. Same with on that lamp. So you can get them by the million these days, because everyone's chucking those things out. Whereas back then you had to like order it in from a camera place or somewhere to even get to that sort of stuff. So, which is what we did from asbestos, I think, in 1991. But now I've got dozens of them, but it's getting the lamps. So I could get an original lamp and just put the proper socket in there, or the socket pinched out of one of these old in-ceiling halogen lamps, or even garden lights. All sorts of things use those ceramic sockets now. And I've got a pile of them I kept, because I did have some garden lights that used to like cooking these lamps and sockets as well. But I've replaced them with LED now, so I'll probably end up throwing all that out now. But I think the rest of that should be okay. So it's really just a case, I think, of finding, I don't know, if a flat belt. Flat belt's got more cross section, I guess. This is like a sort of, what is that shape? A trapezoid or something. It's got a wider outer and thinner inner with angled sides. Actually, another thing I didn't think of is I think I've got some video type belts in here. Whether they would actually be perfect, but I don't think they're short enough. It's got a bit of length to it. You never know. I was thinking of using, oh, there's some short ones maybe. I was thinking of using some cassette belts. I thought, well, they're a bit thin. You'd have to have 5 of them in there to do it. Or one of these flat belts. I completely forgot I got these. These are more of these Chinese specials off eBay. I haven't even got around to opening the things. I'm not sure if they're too short, but it might be. Well, I guess it's probably time I had a look at these. Go away. Oh yeah, quite a good selection of different sizes. I'm guessing something around that size might be the go. Yeah, that's just a bit bigger than the actual main pulley, I think, which is ideal if I can get it in there. Oh, come on. Because I really, like I say, don't want to go spending $60 odd on this thing only to get rid of it afterwards. I mean, if it is actually worth any money, I guess it would be worth... Well, that's close, probably a little bit big. It would be worth getting it going, but like I say, I don't think anyone's going to pay more than $50 or something for one of these things. No, that's too big. By the time it drops into the pulleys, it's quite a big deep slot in them. Come on, off you go. But you can move this little rotating thing, which I think, I don't know if that's some sort of shutter or something. Seems to block the light, so maybe that's why you get the speed synced up. But yeah, that thing sort of, you just move it out around a bit and you can get the unit on there. Oh, that's getting maybe too big. We're in the vicinity. I think that's worth a try. That might still be too big, but looking at this, I probably actually need one about the diameter of the outside of the main pulley, because by the time it sits on the pulley and drops in the slot, and then drops in the slot on the motor pulley, it's lost quite a bit of length here. That's still a little, it's turning, but it's too loose. Go away. So let's keep going down in size here. That might be enough of a drop. But yeah, it'd be really handy if I can just get away with a belt I've got. seems stupid to have to buy a belt for something when I've got all these VCR belts and stuff lying around, some of which I forgot I even had. Now that's getting there, but is that still too loose? Yeah, it just slips. So I'm probably being too cautious with getting too much length. Maybe I should just go a super tight one. Yeah, that one's just a bit bigger than the main pulley. That's about the same. Oh, I don't know if we're going to get much smaller, unfortunately. I might have picked one of the smallest belts we got. That one's a little bit smaller. What's this one? I'm going to go for the shortest one I've got in this kit, I think, which is probably that one. Well, at least I know these are all variable sizes, so it's quite a good kit in that sense. Really good if you've got a video that's just got one belt slipping or one broken, and the rest of the belt kit's pretty good because they're not so cheap to buy these days, the video belt kits. Again, probably because they're getting quite rare. That's more like it, I think. Oh yeah, pull on that. And it's just stretching the belt, I think. Not slipping maybe until right at the end. Yeah, there it just starts to slip. Well, that's going to be close. If I need any shorter than that, I'm stuffed anyway. So that is the shortest one in there, I think. So that should be good. Let's plug in again. Got a little lamp at the front there. I think it's just a power indicator that it has power. And where are we? Forward. Oh, we've got real motion. Not just me, or is that jerking a bit? Got a little flickering shutter thing going. What does that one do? No, it's full brightness, half brightness. That's the speed. Focus. That lamp runs super hot. I think that was a cool down mode or something. It doesn't really say, it's just dim bulb, bright bulb. I had a feeling you put it in the dim mode for a while just to run the fan across the globe after it's been running for quite a while. They certainly convert a lot of the energy into heat. I think that might be going. Ah yes, that one's reel is run by this crappy long spring thing here. Ah, it catches on a little thing there by the look of it. I can't really do much more to make that any tighter. Or is there there's no adjustment on the motor, I guess. If worse come to worse, I guess you could. It feels just a little bit on the loose side for my liking. A little slips a little bit too soon, but other than putting something over the motor pulley to increase the diameter down in that groove, or lifting the motor up slightly, I guess we could almost take the whole motor bracket off or part of it off and shove some washers under there. Would that actually make it longer if I went upwards directly? Really needs to come out on an angle that way. Anyway, I guess I can try a film in it and see if it roughly runs at the right speed. We don't have any audio to worry about. Oh, it's got a bit of pull there, so I think that might be alright. I don't know what those little things that come across are, but the glass one looks like it's covered in some muck, so I might clean that. I don't know if it's I don't know what it would do. The other thing's got holes in it, like a metal disc with little holes in it. Like it's to dim the light down or completely shut it off. I guess while I'm at it, I probably should. Can I get to the back of the lens without removing it? Can we remove that easily? Nuts. Or can we? What's this thing do? No idea. Oh, something's happening. Oh yeah, there you go. You can probably just screwed it out, I guess. I'm thinking that probably wants it clean. Because who knows when that was last cleaned. Oh, the front of it's not real good either. I assume a bit of methane won't add it, shouldn't do. Almost looks like it's got a bit of damage to it, like fingerprints or something eaten into the glass, possibly. But it has been kept in a box most of its life. Can I screw that in? I think I'll just bend that up a bit, that'll be right. I know you can't screw it in because that little lever thing's, the adjuster is in the way. What does that do? Still don't know what that does. Oh, actually, have I got this in the right spot is another question, because you can adjust it a bit by the look of it. I guess you meant to take that thing off. Guess I should have took more notice of where it was. But it looks like that lens, you can possibly pull it out and mount it in different positions. That could be interesting to see if it makes the screen bigger and smaller and stuff. I think it was about there. Oh, what does that knob do? Oh, that's the still normal. Ah, I know what that is. Or maybe I know what it is. It doesn't seem to come right across, or does it? I wonder if that thing's there to block it so that the film doesn't get melted. It just blocks quite a bit of the light when you pause it, because otherwise, of course, you've got the film. You've all seen the stereotypical thing in the movies or something where someone's showing a film in a theatre and the film suddenly stops and then it melts through and disappears. Used to be a common thing in 80s movies or something. And that's why, because if you concentrate that light just on a still piece of film, it'll actually melt the thing. So that's what that is. I'm not sure what the other piece, it's like a piece of glass, whether that does something similar. But when I push it, it doesn't seem to come fully across, but maybe there's something blocking it at the moment. Oh, that does one piece of glass, and it does the glass and the other thing. So that's in the slow. This doesn't feel like it turns enough, if you ask me, but maybe the machine's got to be in some other mode. I'll put the backpack on there now, so I don't know. I think this is just a normal cover you take off. This is just made to come on and off. Guess I can replace the lamp. So I think we're supposed to feed the film into there, and it takes it over from there. Problem is, I don't know if I've got any film that I don't really fancy putting a good film in there until I know how the thing works. I prefer to put some rubbishy bit of old film in there, but I don't have any rubbish old bits of film, I don't think. So there are a couple of small ones in the box. I might grab it and see what that does. I didn't even know I had these films. They were actually in the box. So these are tiny little ones. Maybe they're the size of the originals that you had in your camera, I reckon. It's got a rubber band around that one. And then I think what you did was you spliced them together to make up bigger films. Of course, it's got the little teeth in it, hasn't it? So that would be how it grabs hold of... I mean, what's the front, what's the back? I assume... So all you do, and you just shove that in. I don't know where the teeth are that grab hold of that. It's so long ago since I saw this thing run, I can't remember much about it, but I guess the only way is to suck it and see. Might be help if you turn on the power. I think the idea is you grab that. Ooh, something's happening. Should come eventually find its way out the other side. Oh, here it comes. What? Oh wow! How the hell did it grab hold of that? Must be. That's pretty impressive. I'll turn up the brightness a bit. Uh-oh. When I did that, something stopped running. Maybe this isn't pulling as well as I thought. I did grab hold of it, but then it suddenly stopped. I think that was, oh, it's that thing maybe. Ah, that thing must have moved somehow. Oh, it happens when I do that. Why does that jump up? I've got something on the screen. Need some focus. Oh yeah. We've got flickers, so we need to change the speed. Oh damn. I can't seem to stop it flickering. So that may be a belt issue. It seems to be like it's got a vertical hold issue. It's like a TV with vertical hold. I'm not going anywhere near the... What on earth is that? A dog or something? Slow and pause doesn't seem to do anything. That locks down in the dim mode. You can barely see the picture though. We've got something happening. It's just rolling like a vertical hold out on a TV. Although look at this. Oh, have I not? I'm wondering if I've got that. Oh, it's in place, or is it? Yeah, it's in place. Why? The bit's turning inside the. Is that meant to do that? I don't know. How do you? I guess you have to rewind it. I actually can't rewind it straight across until, I guess when you get to the end of the film is when you can rewind it straight across. Because at the moment we're stuck in the machine. But this sprocket thing seems to be turning quicker than the actual aluminium bits. That keeps slipping back, which I wouldn't have thought is what it's meant to do. So I can turn that individual or independent of the other bit, which doesn't seem very good. Okay, so it doesn't seem to want to reverse the film, and it's not going very well in forward either. It seems to be rolling, having like a vertical hold effect in a TV when it's not synced. So I suspect it's slipping and not keeping up the right speed, but that seems to be this clutch thing on here, possibly. If it is a clutch, they must have something like that. But that may be this big belt system they got in here is designed to slip or something. Oh yes, there's a mechanical drive up to this sprocket. And... oh yeah, there's like a little thing that can slip there maybe. Oh, what on earth is that thing? Kind of bent. Well, it looks bent or twisted or something. Oh yeah, it drops and it goes up and down. And there's a little wheel with little... so that's the main sprocket thing. So that bit catches there. Now I have to learn how the whole thing works probably. And try not to touch heaps of live wiring in here. Probably have to press that thing down, don't I? I don't know what that does, but it does something. And that's engaged on this side, but still this bit I can stop it, which worries me a bit. Now if I go in reverse, ooh, I don't want full brightness. This one is spinning around, so maybe I'm doing something wrong here. But this isn't engaged at all. So I don't think it's the belt as such. Well, this one, oh, this doesn't have any. Oh, it does have an engagement thing there. It does have one little pin that's. But this turns quite freely without moving the rest of it. Whoops. Well, maybe I'll have to do it the hard way and just wind it. So, what is this thing meant to do? This doesn't seem to want to come back easily. I'm not even sure you meant. Well, I assume you must be able to reverse it through the machine, through the main tape path. Oh, here it comes. It's just got a bit of friction. Probably more than it should have. Oh, yes, that does go backwards okay. Just not under its own power. because there's no other way of getting the tape off. You've got to go to one end or the other on one of the reels, otherwise it's basically stuck in the machine. Though I guess, no, I don't think you can actually, even taking the cover off won't get it completely out. So this is looking like I may have to find someone. I did know a guy that did a lot of transfers and all that sort of stuff. He had all the equipment and video editing and stuff, but I said he's even alive anymore. He'd be getting on a bit now. I don't know that he'd be doing the work anymore, but you never know. He was an ex-ABC guy, so he sort of, oh, that's jammed again. He sort of did that kind of thing for a living. Ooh, suddenly that's really tight. Why? Just when I've nearly got to the end, it gives up on me. That's slipping as well, so it's gone really tight. Ooh. That's taking the tape down around this loop, up here, down through the, as you'd expect, through the lens and shutter and stuff. But why is it so tight all of a sudden? Oh, there must be a mechanism to grab the teeth here somewhere, I guess, but has that suddenly seized up or something? And I can't even pull this. I don't want to put my hands on it. You're not meant to touch the stuff really, but that's why I would like a crappy film to use as a test one, because this is what happens if you put a good one in there. You end up with all sorts of dramas. Ooh, something just gave way. I think the sprocket thing, there must be a sprocket thing somewhere. That must have seized up somewhere. God, what a contraption. Nearly as bad as having a reel-to-reel tape recorder. Well, I must admit I'm impressed with the automatic feed. I don't remember them having that. I thought you had to mess about a bit yourself to get them done. So they're actually a lot more convenient than I remember. Now, I've got to work out why do these sprocket things... Well, that's the main sprocket. So what the hell? That should just fit on there and go with it, surely. But it doesn't. It's on. So this bit, oh, this bit moves freely compared to that bit. Is that meant to do that? That just doesn't seem right. I mean, I guess if it gets super tight, they're meant to slip. So maybe there is something in here that's just a bit too tight and it's slipping when it shouldn't. I guess that's possible. I assume this has got something similar where this black bit here, does that one come off? Doesn't seem to. Oh yeah, this piece here is a separate bit to the end piece. So that's a clutch assembly of some sort, so who knows whether that's too slippy or whether we've got other tension issues here somewhere. So all we've got is a couple of springs there, which I don't think there's anything wrong with them. The bit where it comes down past the lens, and then there's this thing. How does that grab the film? And what runs it on the other side? Oh, that's this gear here. So we may have an issue with the belts slipping or something along those lines. That doesn't seem to have any sprockets. I think it's just a rubber wheel. It must be some sort of friction thing. Maybe it grabs the film by... Or maybe that's the issue, is it? Should that let off? But when it let off, it doesn't... You think that would just be the mechanism for pulling the film through, and then it would spring back or something once there's tension on it, once it's on the other reel. Yeah, what was it doing? I don't think it was running at all when I let that off. What's making that noise? Something's a bit clunky. Not sure I should touch that, but definitely not slipping the other belt. It's just these clutches that seem to be, well, they're pretty, it takes a bit to stop them. Well, that one. Well, the other belt can slip if it needs to by the look of it, but I wonder if this one's just got a bad, that clutch does stop pretty easy. There's some eccentric thing in there that's making that noise, I think. What is the point of that? What does it do? It must do something in the tape path. Oh, yeah, there's a little thing going up and down. What's it supposed to do though? This film thing doesn't seem, it seems to be slipping a lot. That may be what's playing up, is it? Oh, that's not, oh, what on earth? Oh, that's because we're in the other mode. Well, does that matter? If we go the other way, that should have plenty of tension. Yeah, it does. The little tooth's locked into it, so that's meant to slip on that direction. I've got a little thing flicking up and down here. Is there a shutter thing on that? Must be something. Must be making. Yeah, doesn't do anything obvious that I can see. But why does it exist then? It's like it's got some sort of, maybe a cam on the back of it. Oh, does it? Oh, what does it do though? Must do something. I can't see any purpose for that gear, but it must do something. They didn't put a gear in there for no reason. The light, oh no, that's the fan blade making the light flick. No idea what that thing's doing. Doesn't seem to be doing anything at all. But there's an eccentric kind of cam thing on the other side of that shutter thing that's flicking something up and down. Even when I stop that completely, the belt isn't slipping, so that's not our issue. It's possible some of these gears or something aren't running quite right. And that, I suspect, is a bit slippy, which isn't much good. I guess, you know, if you run the film right the way through, you don't need to rewind it, but while I'm testing it, it'd be nice if I could. Yeah, it's definitely an eccentric kind of cam there. I could probably just do with a bit of lubrication maybe. So what's the bit that moves on it? That thing? Or is that something else? What is that? Oh, that's this thing. What is this thing? A frame. Oh, maybe I need to do something with that, do I? Just move something slightly. Oh, that is that to do with that eccentric? Oh, it is to do with that eccentric thing. I'm not sure quite what it's doing to it, but changing maybe where it operates at. It does seem to move the position of that thing that's bouncing up and down a bit. Should that let off? I don't know. And half the issue is not knowing how the actual machine is supposed to work. which just makes life that little bit harder. I'm gonna have a quick look at this clutch thing. I'm interested what the hell's going on here now. I think I can unscrew it from there, can I? Maybe not. Ugh. All I can see is a gear underneath here, then it comes up inside this arm. So probably there's a way of undoing that, but I think you're going to have to hold this bit super tight. I'm going to risk bending it. I think you need to grab that bit. I guess if you put a flat blade screwdriver in there maybe. Not sure I should be risking pulling things apart. I really didn't want to do this sort of thing with it. Bingo. That's how you do it. Now I've just got to be careful. I don't know if anything's going to fall down anywhere or what that screw's going to do. Oh, it comes out alright, so that's good. It looks like there's a circlip, and then we can get inside whatever we have here. Come on, circlip. And we seem to have a bit of hair and stuff, or is it? Or just dust. There's a little spring. So that probably sets the tension. That's it. And a bit of grease left over, so a couple of little washers in there too that have just popped up. So you've got a couple of washers, one metal, one plastic, a spring, a washer, and then the circlip. Everything seems to have been greased. So yeah, I guess it's just if I tension that, stretch that spring out a little bit maybe carefully, that might give a bit more tension, I guess. It's about the only thing that can. I think I'm probably going to have trouble getting it all back together again. And then that's got it. Ooh, it's trying to escape though. It was in place, but as soon as I try to put the circlip on, it slips. Well, other than that, I can't really do much with that, I don't think. Maybe, I don't fancy putting grease on something that's meant to be a clutch, but it looks like it did have grease in there. Yeah, I think that's a little tighter. I mean, these things are bound to get out a bit over time, I guess. Now that doesn't want to slot back in, that's alright. What's stopping that? Yeah, great. That's what I was worried about. Ah, there's something that's moved in here, but look at it when there's a couple of washers. Oh, that's a great design. That's what I was worried about, something like that happening. Is that how it went? It looks like there's something behind that washer that's dropped. Oh no, I've dropped the bloody washer. There is something behind the washer, but it was actually in the right spot. But now the damn washer ain't in the right spot. Ah, good job. Again, this is the problem when you don't know how these... Oh, actually that piece wasn't in the right spot because it's a D-shaped washer by the look of it. I knew there'd be something like this in here. So you've got to get the D-shaped washer lined up with the D shape on the shaft, which I now have done. And I'd love to put the screw back. Oh, the washer's just down there too. Can I get it? Come on, you mongrel. Oh, yes, yes. Ah, now the D-shaped thing's moved a bit, but at least the washers... Ah, you... Ah. Mechanical stuff, it's always fun. Where did that damn screw go? I need you right now, because every time I touch something here, everything moves on me. I think it all moved again. Whether I'm going to get those in the right spot or not, I don't know. But I'm afraid they're going to have to do. Let's tighten that off again. Guess that should be super tight because you don't want that falling off halfway through a film and your film dropping down and getting wrecked. Not that this will be done that many hours of use, but I doubt it's going to unscrew itself in a hurry. I did bend that a little bit, I think. Yes, I did. When I was holding onto it. Yeah, it doesn't seem to want to go through there. What's going on now? should just slot on. There was no particular way to do it. Oh, actually there are little things that slot onto the... slot into those slots. I'm putting the right part on here, aren't I? Oh, the funny over these things. I thought they just... I don't think that cares. It slots... Oh, it's just tight for some reason. Why is it tight? That's a worry. That ain't a good sign. If I tighten this up so much I've... still turns. What would have changed? So which bit... Those little bits are the bits... Oh, there's an open hole there so you can see that. Oh, that's... just seems a bit tighter on the end bit. Oh, I wonder if... I know what's happened. The fun of mechanical stuff. When I put the screwdriver in there and tighten it, or untighten it, it's bent those apart a bit. Which makes sense because the screwdriver's going to try and spread it. Yeah, it's better. God, one thing leads to another with these things. Still pretty loose. Oh well. I tried. There's a little bit there. Oh well, all I can do is fire it up again and try feeding the film into it again. Quite an amazing process. So it's going through this bit, who it was. As soon as I tip it over, I don't think it likes being on its side. I was going to show what happens, but here it comes. Oh, it's at the bottom. Of course I haven't got the cover on it, so it's going to come out and go all over the place probably. But yeah, it's pulled it all the way down here and pushing it down there. I think I better put the cover back on. It's quite slow in its progress, like this thing's not gripping it very well, or is it slipping on the other side? Because that is a direct drive. No, I can see the gears going fine. And somehow this just by friction maybe grips it. Really an interesting process, I must say. So I'm not sure if it's something to do with that thing that's playing up or what, but I don't think this is freely running. That hasn't popped up. And I've still got the vertical hold issue. And for a second there it did actually almost lock in, so it's something to do with this slipping, I think it's the issue. I need to go faster or slower? Faster, I would assume. Yeah, I think it's just running too slow. Even when you get this thing sped up, I think it's actually it slows down maybe, is it? Oh, that's going so slow. Oh, now what's this other thing do? Nothing. No, so there's either too much tension in this system, so even when I slacken that off, so is that the bit that's meant to pull it? And that backs off, I think, in rewind. And forward now it's not going at all. I think that should be off, but then this just slips. And the camera's just stalled. It's still just stalled, and this is slipping on the reel, so that doesn't work. So you must need that as the drive. Oh, it doesn't want to come on now. Okay, it does when you're in the mode. So that must be what sets the speed of it maybe. And this is probably just, yeah, this isn't actually what's pulling it through. Much like a cassette player, that's the pinch roller that pulls the tape through and sets the speed of it. This thing just freewheels, and this thing just wheels up the slack, I guess. So it'll be this bit that's doing all the work. But why can't I get the picture to stop rolling is what I'm wondering. Am I doing something wrong? It's flying upwards. This is seeming to have a really fine. It just seems to be going upwards. So it's not like it's going back downwards when I slow it down, I don't think. Oh, that's maybe. I'm going to have to learn a bit about film. Oh, that locked in. Oh, it's just stalled, that's why. Oh wow, I didn't know we had that footage. So, I don't know what I do, that's... Oh, oh, now there it goes again. That, oh, wow. There's later footage on here than I realised we had. When I put the lamp there, it's melting it. Damn it. Why did that clip off when I put it and then it cooks a bloody film? That's what I was afraid it would do. I know that much about film that if you let it get too hot... Okay, this makes very little sense. Okay, so that definitely turns it that unclicks when you go to high brightness. So I wonder whether there's something wrong with this normal slow switch or something. That'll only click down. The slow normal switch doesn't, it flicks something in front of the lens but doesn't do anything else. Why does that pop off? As soon as I go that mode, it clicks off. So that one should click off in the stop mode, in the pause mode, I would have thought. Hang on. Go to pause, that stays on and it's still moving, so something's definitely wrong here. But when I go to that mode, it does... Ah. Interesting stuff. That's, oh, here it goes. Could be something to do with the frame rate of this film doesn't suit. Oh, bit of interesting technology for a change. That darkens it but doesn't pause it. I'm sure if it goes into pause, that thing should flick up. Like that. That's pause frame. That's brighter. It's some other thing. What on earth is that footage? Oh, that's Hobart. Oh, that is, yeah, it's definitely Hobart. Looks like something down the wharves. I do vaguely remember some footage down the wharves. Now that I think about it. Ah, dear me. There's not much film on there by the look of it, so what is going on here? That switch... Okay, here we go. That moves... That doesn't look right. That pushes on the... Oh, that's the two little things that move up and down. They seem to be working, they're blocking the light partially. But what does this other lever do? It doesn't seem to do anything. Just got to be careful I don't touch anything here, I shouldn't, but as little gear bit there that moves, or it's got the little interlocking bits. There's some bit of plastic sliding up and down. Seems kind of loose, whether it's meant to do something or not. There's a little pin thing sticking out. Does this thing move? No, that's just the chassis. No idea what I'm doing. Oh, does that lock with that? No. Seems odd that. Oh, does it? Oh, maybe it interlocks in the bottom position with this gear here. What does that gear do? Does it do anything? So I'm just trying to actually manually run this with this thing down in the forward direction by turning this gear in here that does the motion, and it does sort of sometimes turn it, sometimes not. The reel sort of intermittently, of course this one, so this is definitely just a take-up reel I think, because since it's not taken up we're just getting a loose tape there, but this just isn't pulling the tape through very well. It doesn't look like they use the sprocket thing, but this, if I rotate it on its own, take this little pull thing off it, seems pretty free. So I don't think it's sticking, because that probably could do with a little bit of a lube, but it's more likely some sort of tension in the tape path, I guess. When you're pulling that, that's pulling up there, so there's tension in the bottom bit there, so that means tension in here somewhere. So the tape's not at all free to move, and in rewind this actually has a gear running this, but I'm not sure whether this, yeah, I think that little, what is equivalent of the pinch roller, in rewind mode, it's in play mode, this is disengaged, we've got the pinch roller thing going, and the pull's engaged to make that turn. We'll go and rewind. I'm pretty sure that disengages. Yeah, just the pull just goes round, and this has a this gear at the top to run this thing. But of course that clutch is slipping, which doesn't help. But is it slipping because there's there's a lot of tension there. So this should be loose, it should be limp, I guess, or maybe you're not meant to rewind it in the mode other than when it's straight across. Maybe you're just meant to let this thing go through. So I think that rewind thing could be a bit of a furphy. I might be wasting my time on that. It may not be meant to do it with this thing, but we've still got the problem of why doesn't the forward drive work? And I guess the other thing is, why does this lock in sometimes and not other times? What locks it in place and what causes it to unlock again? So if we go into forward mode, I press that, something clicks in, and when I go to that mode it clicks off again. It's got to be that little mech. But, oh yeah, because it's designed to let go when you turn the power off. I'm not 100% sure why, at least it's turning at the moment. Even if it is at the wrong speed or whatever. And there might be something else in here binding. Maybe one of these little plastic pulleys, that one turns. Oh, there we go, the end of the tape is upon us. It's even stopping with the end of the tape, so what? Oh, well it would, because that makes sense. So, oh, no it doesn't really. Well it doesn't, it means this capstan isn't pulling it, but then it's loose, so it should just pull through, so that would suggest we've got tension after that point. Maybe somewhere through the shutter area. Oh, is that what that little thing is? Ah, the little bit that goes up and down. I reckon that's what pulls the bloody That is right where the tape would have its little hole, what do you call them? Little perforations in there. Ah, so maybe that's meant to be jumping up and down and pulling the tape. Oh, come here. Tape, I shouldn't call it tape. Film, even though it is a kind of tape, I guess. Now, do we need to put that in? I think this is the one where, yeah, it's meant to go. It's got that bendy bit on the end, should go into that little slot, I think. Okay, yeah, that's kind of got it. Hopefully that'll hold it. Let's put it in rewind. Ah, yes, now I'm talking. So that probably is how the rewind's meant to work. Even that's getting a bit slack, but maybe that's just this thing. So why does it have the light on if the rewind isn't meant to work? This is the quick rewind. I don't think they'd bother that the light's actually on in rewind. So why would you have a light on in rewind unless you can rewind it with a picture on the screen sort of thing? The film in the tape path as such. That little thing bobbing up and down, that's what is meant to pull sprockets. That's the word I want. Not that these are really sprockets, but there is a sprocket that's meant to pull the film. I wonder if that's it. That's got to be it. So I've got the film in the right way, haven't I? Yeah, if it goes in there, it should come down to that little... There's two little pins on the little thing that goes up and down. Yet how would they... If they go up and down, they must also come out a bit or something to grab. They just seem to go up and down. How would they... How would you get the film there? So who knows, this whole tape path might be gummed up with something. Tape path, I'm calling it tape path. Well, that's what it's equivalent of, really. See that? When you push that down, that should push this... Ooh, what's going on? Whoa! I pulled something out and broke it now. That piece comes out. But where does the actual film... Oh, yeah, this bit... does something. There is like a bent... What's this lever thing here? Is it meant to be bent like that? It seems to be bent upwards, I mean maybe, but then on a weird angle. That doesn't look right. Now where does that go? I have no idea where I got that from. Oh, that's a little shuttery screen thing. There's two pins there and a little... Ah, is that what that is meant to slot onto, maybe? Where are those pins going to? God damn, now I've pulled it out, I don't know how to get it back in there. I don't know what it was actually sitting on. Ah, there's one of the holes, is it? Oh, this went on the other side of that thing. Ah, I'm a moron. Helps if you put it back in the right spot. So why is there a lever thing here that's bent? Does that's? I wonder if that's meant to pull that out. Is that what's the missing piece is? Would it pull that out? I have no idea how a part would have got bent in it. I don't know, but it's possible. No, it doesn't seem to, even when I bend it back down. What flicks the damn thing? Is it a way of holding? Should it go on the other side of that thing? I don't think it'll reach. Maybe. It would make sense if something's here that shouldn't be in the way or something. But no, that doesn't. So where does the film actually go? Down behind this other piece. Yeah, that's the little bit. So it comes down this piece here, I think. Certainly a bit of dust in there, but yeah, it must go down the little path. I might as well do that a clean, I guess, just to be sure. It comes past this grey plastic bit, and it should slide down through these bits of metal. Where's those little pin things that jump up and down? They're back there. I don't think they're actually engaged at this point. Oh, there's another bit that kind of presses, oh god, or maybe that bit when I... There's so many bits and... Ah, so this thing determines... Oh, that actually sets the width of the tape film track or something. Is that what they've done, that frame switch thing? Oh no, that's the Super 8 thing. Yeah, that's a... Oh yeah, so that's why it's Super 8, or... Have I actually got that in the right... I've got it in Super 8, but I wonder if that's the right mode for this. Could be regular 8, I guess. I don't think I actually tried flicking it, did I? I can't remember. Well, that would be one thing that's a possibility of a problem causer. Let's just clean this off as well. I don't know if there's any sort of tension in this path. I guess could be a problem. Certainly won't hurt to clean it, I guess. Ew, there's a bit of muck in there. Which is not surprising given this thing's probably around 50 years old by now. I don't know when this was purchased, but it's always been around as long as I can remember. What is the point of that little lever? Is it something you're meant to flick? I can't see what would ever touch it. So maybe that is something as well. But if it's bent, no idea. Now the other thing I wouldn't mind looking at is how do I get... Does this thing lift off? I wonder if I can clean this thing. Okay, well the camera ran out of memory cards, so I didn't realise that had stopped, but what I did, I pulled this screw out here and get this grey bit a bit looser. I cleaned the rubber bit here. I also cleaned off some yellowy stuff on the plastic, and it hasn't really made any difference. There is a little spring thing holding these two bits of plastic together. You've got to be careful. This actually came off, but I managed to push it back into position and get it back. But I had a bit more of a look at this, trying to work out what's really going on here. And I'm back to those two little pin pieces on a piece of metal that act like a sort of sprocket thing, and I got the torch in here and had a look, and they're definitely meant to line up with the little sprocket holes in the film, but they're too far back. So I thought, well, they're never going to go in there, or, you know, if you sort of push on this little metal piece, you can see it can sort of go inwards more. So I thought, okay, what's going on there? Now I looked on the other side here, and down, a bit hard to see, down, it's basically where the bottom of the belt pulley is, the big one that comes out of this worm wheel thing here. There's a little brass piece with a plastic coating on it. Looks like a little knurled bit of brass. You can see it through the sort of clear plastic. It's like a hexagonal piece of plastic, I think. And that's what's actually pushing that thing out. You can actually see here that it's sort of bent outwards. And that comes through to this other little brass piece here, which goes to this plastic bit, which goes back to that switch that does the pause and everything. And this other gear here that I was wondering what the hell this gear is actually in here for and what does it do. And that got me thinking about this actual, how this thing works. And that made me realise the reason we've got the rolling picture, the lack of sync basically, is, yeah, because this piece, even though this is like a kind of capstan motor in a way, it's not actually what's setting the speed, it's just actually doing the physical dragging of the film through. So if this was a cassette player, yeah, you've got your take-up reel that's driven, you've got your supply reel that's just loose, at least in the forward direction. You've got this, you know, equivalent of a capstan and pinch roller that actually does the work of pulling the tape through. Because in this case though, we've also got this shutter type assembly on the pulley here, these big pieces of metal that go through the path of the light. And so to get that actually synced in, we need to have a little mechanical device which is synced to that, which is the little sprocket holes. So we have to have the shutter synced to it, otherwise we're literally going to get like the frame can be halfway off the screen sort of thing, or out of the little hole where the light goes through, or it could be in any position basis. It could be up, it could be down, and that's why you end up with a rolling effect, is because it's up a bit, it's down a bit, it's moving to different positions, and if it keeps changing slightly how far up or down it is out of actual sync with the frame, then you're going to get a sort of rolling picture. And so what we have here is this cam thing down here, which I was wondering about, which runs that little sprocket thing and makes it click up and down as the motor spins around and these shutter things are working. So that is synced to these shutters, literally synced to them, because there's a cam off the same piece that flicks it up and down and obviously mechanically synchronizes. Obviously they've set the cam to move that thing up and down in synchronicity with these metal, almost like fan blade things here that act as a shutter. So it literally pulls the full frame in, and then the shutter goes as it moves to the next frame or whatever they actually do. I assume it blanks out the bit in between. Basically it's much like a colour television in the way you synchronize the frames of video information in that, and then have a blanking signal to blank the electron beam while it shoots back up to the top of the screen after scanning down to the bottom. So it's the same sort of principle in many ways. So you need this film and its frames to be synchronized to this bit, and that's what I'm lacking at the moment, because that little sprocket thing is not engaging, and so we're literally getting a vertical hold issue here, what looks like it, because the frames are just randomly placed and unable to sync with these shutter things. So the shutter's blanking the picture at random positions of the frame, so it could be a half frame, a quarter frame, and 3/4 of the next one, or whatever, the little black piece. Oh, is there a black piece in between? I don't think there actually is, looking at this film. Whoops. Put it up to the light. Oh, there is a very thin black frame around each frame of film, so it is framed as such. Each one is a little, well, I guess it would be much like a little photo or film negative type of thing is what we've got here. Of course this is positive, but it's the same sort of thing. The camera takes one after the other shots, so you basically want the shutters here to be synchronized with the original shutter, and the way you do that is to get the frames mechanically synchronized using the little sprocket holes. So the sprocket holes aren't particularly about necessarily pulling the film through. It's this other roller does that. That does the mechanical heavy lifting, I think. But of course we still need synchronization, so much like a colour TV, or any TV for that matter, even though this thing's completely mechanical, it has some similarities in the way the technology works. So I think what it is the grease on that little pin is seized up, and so it can't slide back and forwards, can't let the little sprocket pins in there, and that's the other reason this other thing lever doesn't pause it. So there's something to do with that lever as well, and I don't know if that's got something to do with this little piece clicking off when I go to full brightness, but it may well have something to do with that as well. So there's a whole lot of different issues here, but it's good I've cleaned all the tape path anyway. There may still be some tension issues or something there, but I reckon it's going to be the tension when you actually play the film. I can see this bottom piece springing up here, so that means the tension's in this section here by the look of it. It sort of slackens off again as it goes out there. It's not pulling this other piece up. So I think it is because of the tension between this roller and this lower part here. If that little, if those little sprocket pin things were pulling it through, that would make all the difference. I think, as well as synchronizing it, would also give it some mechanical motion through there and sort of free up its motion. So I think that's what's going on. So since I've still got the film in here, I might just put this cover back on, try and protect that, and get back onto the other side here. I guess I should actually try and film a bit of what the picture actually looks like, just to show you the sort of rolling effect. I might need a bit of white paper or something to put it onto. It doesn't want to go through at the moment. Oh, I've got to press that. See if I can get a focus picture, but that would explain the rolling effects, I think. So I might just, have I got a bit of white paper or something to get a better image on? Probably not, but that might work. Oh yeah. That does make a big difference. I can see a horse. Oh, that's disconnected again, so I might just briefly... I was meant to check the damn focus on this thing. Let's have a look at this image. So we've got just a piece of paper leaning against the wall here. And if I press the little thing in to get it rolling, we get this sync issue. I can speed it up, it just seems to make it worse. If I click that thing off, go back to dim mode so I don't burn the film too quickly, you can see we get a nice still image. As soon as I try and get a moving image, I just can't synchronize anything. So not much good. But at least I know what's going on, I think. So we'll get in and see if we can loosen that pin up. Okay, so I've pulled the power out. Now I've got to work out how to get down in here, and it doesn't look particularly hopeful. So we've got this little plastic bit that flaps around in here. I might have to take that gear out so I can at least access the back of it. And I don't know, may have to put some RP7 or something in there, try and degrease the thing, I guess. I assume this middle screw comes out, but who knows. Yep. I think we can, yeah, that gear just falls out, but look, we can at least have a look on that too and see it. I assume it's some sort of cam. It's two flat pieces and just a couple of round bits, or like a circle with two flat sides. Now this bit just sort of, I guess if we rotate that switch around, does that, oh yeah, it sort of gets the other way. We can sort of push it out of the way. Oh yeah, that does move at least, so that's something. It's not completely seized. I assume if I can get on the other side of it, it should push back, but what's, oh, that's the other lever bit that it's pushing on, of course. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that pushes in alright. Now, I'll have to take the cover off to look, but I would assume those pins are actually engaged with the film now. A little hard to see, but yeah, they're in there. I'm pretty sure they'll be in the film now, so that's good. Whoops, that's not so good. So if I can get a bit of oil on that thing, probably a cotton bud, and remove any of the old grease I can get off. So I'm not surprised. I was surprised most of the grease was good in here, but I'm not surprised that something's playing up because of dried up grease, given this thing really has been neglected for quite a while now. Well, once you transfer the film onto VHS or whatever, there's not much point getting the projector going again. And like I say, I don't know what happened to the screen, but I think that might have got old and mouldy as well or something and got tossed out. Oh, that's actually sliding back of its own accord. I wonder if there's a spring or something there. But that's better than it was doing. Even if it just slowly moves, there's something. I think there's a little bit of muck on it still, and I doubt I'm going to be able to... Oh, I can force the cotton bud right under there, I think. I can try and get all sides of it clean. Then, let that dry off a bit. I can probably just put some oil on there, might be enough. Oil or grease or something. So I can just push on that thing. Oh yeah, it's pushing itself back now. Ha! Oh, thank God I don't have to pull the whole thing to bits while I look at it. There is some grease on the other side of it, which is going to be pretty hard to get to, I think. That probably only pushes so far. Bigger screwdriver, a bit more use. Let's do that fiddly little one. Now if I chuck that cotton bud away, I can just, I think, get in behind it on the other side as well with it pushed as far as I'll go in that direction, and maybe just get rid of some of the grease in there. It's going to be pretty tight, but I can just get in there, I think. If I can get enough of it out. Yeah, it's got rid of some of it. Yeah, and it's pushing back. Oh yeah, it's slipping even better now. Oh yeah, it's slowly working itself free again. And I should, with a little screwdriver like this, put a bit of this clear grease on there, should be able to get a bit of grease on it and hopefully work that into the little sleeve thing it runs in. Yeah, I need that screwdriver. And if I can sneak, I don't want it on the shaft. I might be able to get some on that shaft on the other side. I can just push on this plastic bit, can't I? Oh, yeah, that's sliding quite well. It's a little hesitant maybe, but so that explains some of what's going on. So this should have been pushing this plastic bit back to engage with this gear. So I was wondering why that was just flapping around in the breeze a bit. To be honest, I could probably do with a little bit more lubing, but that's going to be good enough for what I'm doing anyway. Again, if you're going to sell this thing as working or something, that'd be a different matter, but if you just want to get it going, like I do, that grease looks pretty good in there, then there's no point messing around with that. Let's see if I can get this gear. I reckon I'm going to have to push that plastic bit across a bit. Are we going in the hole? I think we are. It's actually made out of brass, I think. Try and get that tight without overdoing it and wrecking the slot in it. So what does this switch now do? Definitely has effect in that position, which is the pause position. It pushes, yeah, that's when it pushes it out. So that should pause the actual film from moving, possibly with some other work it does. So it probably just, yeah, so it proves that the sprockets, it must be the bit pulling things through, so that's probably why it's having trouble going. I'm not sure it's going to fully pause, because it seems to be running without that part working, so in the other position it's free just to move back by, or it's in the middle position, which is just a normal run, it's fully free to come back. And when we push the last position, oh, that's, yeah, okay, that probably depends on where that gear is, or maybe it comes back and forward. What was the other position? I forgot what it was called. Slow. Ah, so in other words, it must literally, so it does, because of that back of that gear being partly round and partly flat, it probably pushes in and out, so engages, disengages, thus it moves slowly. Quite a clever little mechanical design, that. Oh well, I guess we can try it and see if I've made any difference, like I hope I have, and hopefully I've got a synchronised picture now. Who knows? Forward. Well, it's still not synchronised at the moment. Damn. So, I'm not sure that is running yet. Oh, wait up, I'm in slow. That wouldn't bloody help. Ooh, something's making a funny noise now. Oh, yeah, I think, yeah, we've got rid of our, flickering. Oh, trust me to put it in slow. It's in slow mode. At least it's not flickering. It is actually moving must be going very slowly. Based on, oh, we've got moving pictures. And they're completely blurred, which doesn't help. Oh, we've got some ducks eating something. Never thought I'd be so glad to see some ducks. Oh, and this just alters the speed of it by the look of it. It's pretty flicky there. Oh yeah, that's going a lot slower now. That looks more like natural motion or whoever that is. Probably me. Oh yeah. Looks like there's the sprocket. Amazing. Now what happens when we go... Oh, so that, with this thing up, it's still running, so that thing doesn't need to be pressed down at all. Now we've got full brightness as well. Oh, amazing. So this machine didn't work quite how I thought it did. We have the fish boats down the Hobart Harbour. Ah, brilliant. I was hoping this was going to be a quick fix so I could get this going and see if I can work out how to film the images of it, and it turned out to be like a 2-hour job or something, which is typical of these things, especially when you don't really know how the technology works. Ooh, we're out of sync there a bit, aren't we? I thought just the way it was filmed. I think that the camera was a bit out of sync. Oh my god, there's some footage here I didn't know we had. Oh wait, where's that, yeah, we can move that little frame thing. So that's that frame button shifts it ever, so I notice it lifts and drops the pins, the sprocket pins. So I had a bit of the bottom of the image on the top, and I just tweaked that a bit. And it's brought it back into sync. Oh, excellent. It's still a little flickery there, maybe. Maybe I need to, because this is a different bit of film. Oh, we got to the end. Oh, turn it off. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, so it was that little pin. So we've got like a wheel to pull it through, although it doesn't look like that really does a lot at the moment. Maybe that's more for the reverse, I'm not sure. And yeah, a reel, just like a reel in a cassette player, something to do the take up, and another reel to do the supply, which just runs freely in the forward motion. So much like a cassette player. Does that go on top or below that little pulley thing? On top, I guess, or below, I should say. And we've got a little sprockety thing to do the sync and actually to largely pull the tape. Hopefully transfer the film from one reel to the other, and that's how you get it back on the original spool. Oh, it's good to see some footage I didn't even know we had. I didn't even know that you had these little tiny film reels. They might be spliced into, or copied and spliced into some of the others as well. Maybe I was fucking around, I remember that. So that's really cool, because I really want to get the projector screen back to where it belongs so I can get it out of my way. So, and then this thing can go back in its box, and don't know what I'm going to do with it. Actually, I would like to get rid of all this stuff, because there's no point keeping it. Like I say, that's just not surprising. But thankfully, I mean, this film was stored with the projector. So maybe this little piece here is only used when we start it up and we want to pull the film through. I think that's just for the auto. Oop, this one's not going so well. There it goes. The auto loading part. I can't get over how efficient that is. That's a good little design, that. Oop, there was a trouble. Oh, there we go. And film. A bit more noise. That thing hasn't come up, so I don't know whether that should... Maybe you meant to click it so that doesn't come back. I don't know whether that matters if it's up or down, to be honest. So it's basically chugging along now. There's a careful, that cover's going to probably come off my hand and drop the whole thing, but yeah, no, it's working quite well. No sound on these, of course. They're just the old Super 8, so they don't have a sound tracker or anything. So they're not the talkies. Oh, I'm stoked to get that going, even though it took a lot longer than I was hoping. I guess I can put the cover back on this side before I put my hand over it and electrocute myself on something. But yeah, so a video belt, the shortest one I had. Amazingly, that packet, they sent me just the right one to do the belt. The lamp's a little bit dodgy the way it's hooked up with that clip lead or alligator clip just holding it on, but that'll do for the moment. And yeah, they're actually $20 I can get a lamp for, so it's not quite as bad as I thought, but yeah, it was over 30 something dollars, just over $30 I think, to get a belt from America. So I don't really want to, especially when this one seems to work fine. I guess I should have measured that and see what size belt it is in case anyone's interested. But it looks like a, what's that, that's a 2mm square belt I think they use in VCRs. And that's just one of those kits. They only cost about $7 off eBay I think from China, although you've got to wait of course to get it from China. But if you can use if someone's not in a hurry, they could just buy one of those cheap belt kits, slap the shortest one in there, and at least get the thing running enough to transfer some movies across. So I'll see how that goes. I'll have to try transfer and get the big screen out and projecting onto that, and see if I can get, maybe set the camera somewhere around the source, either next to it or above it or something. I guess the source of the projector, I think that, yeah, that lamp was there, because of course you watch these in the dark, so I think that lamp was there just to help you probably find the lens if you needed to focus it or something, or at least find the projector. But that was fun as kids to sit in the dark, set up the screen and get this thing going and watch some old videos of ourselves basically, and bits and pieces. I don't know what else, well, not videos, I should say films, but that's what I want to do, is convert it to video. But yeah, it used to be a bit of a little performance to get this thing going, and a bit of fun for something different. Turn off the lights and run the projector. So obviously these little films don't go for very long, but when you've got the longer ones of them all spiced together, which I think was what you used to do, till they basically fill up a whole one of these reels, which looks like, I think it said in the manual, 400 feet of film. One more quick thing, I forgot to try it in reverse, but it now works in backwards mode. So I guess using those little sprocket things again. Go full brightness in reverse. One thing I didn't check was the full brightness. Yeah, pause now pauses the picture, just freeze frames it basically. It dims it down of course, because you don't want to fry it with the light bulb, especially on the high brightness setting. And yeah, the slow mode, a bit of a, I don't know if that's working 100%, it seems to be stalling. It's working for a bit. It did stall the other time, but I can see it's just occasionally, and now it's stopped working. Stalling. Oh, that looked like it was about to cook the film. So you've got to be careful. Even so, I think in the slow mode it still doesn't dim it fully. So that looks like the statue of Rio de Janeiro, the big Jesus thing. But anyway, seems all the functions are working now, or reasonably working now. Good enough to get it going. Thanks for watching.